Hi there! It is another book club video today. If you remember back to a little while ago, I said I was going to start doing this book club where I would suggest a book and then anyone who wants to can join in, go away and read it, and then we could come back, I'll make a video, put out my thoughts, and I would really love to hear everyone else's thoughts. The first book we did was Girls of Riyadh, which I will put a link somewhere around, and at the end of that video I said the next book we're going to do is Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson. If you've not read it, this is the cover of Before I Go to Sleep. I got the Kindle version just because it was easier and cheaper, and I didn't know if I was going to like it. I'm one of these people who tends to buy the ebook version first, reads it, and then if I like it I'll buy the physical copy. I heard about Before I Go to Sleep because it was recently made into a film with Nicole Kidman and Colin Firth, so it was obviously quite a big production, and I didn't see the film but I knew it was based on a book and I wanted to read it. Okay, so a little summary of the book in case you've either forgotten or you're watching this video without having read the book. So this is based... So the story... My neighbours are putting up their shutters. The story follows quite an unusual story of a woman called Christine who has a really rare form of amnesia. Excuse the traffic noise, it's really noisy again. She has a really rare form of amnesia. So she wakes up in the morning not remembering anything, can go through the day, gets back some memories, and then at night when she goes to sleep she loses it all. She wakes up in the morning at different points in her memory, so sometimes she's a kid, sometimes she's really young, sometimes she's old, so it's a bit unpredictable. Kind of 50 First Dates, but this is a psychological thriller and definitely doesn't have any Adam Sandler in it. The book is written from Christine's point of view in the form of a diary that she has kept on the request of her doctor that she's working with, who her husband doesn't know. So throughout the book you have questions about Christine's reliability as a narrator, because obviously she's missing stuff. You also see how the different characters react, or how Christine thinks that they react. So the book is a story of self-discovery ultimately. She's discovering who she is, and at the end there is a massive big twist. And this is my first question. What did you think of the twist? Did you think it believable? Did you see it coming? What did you think about it? I can't really answer this because I sort of spoiled the twist before I read the book. I didn't mean to. I was reading a synopsis of the film before I even knew about the book, and it didn't tell you the twist, but it sort of hinted at it, and then as I was reading it I could guess it really easily. So the twist is, obviously if you've read it, is the person that Christine thinks is her husband and is actually the person who attacked her, making her lose all her memory, and it was also a guy that she was having an affair with before. So for me the twist was kind of spoiled. I was able to see it coming, and because when I figured it out I kind of got a little bit bored. Like, I found a lot of the diary entries were a bit repetitive. Maybe the sort of from about halfway point to 3/4 of the way through the book I thought were kind of repetitive and kind of useless. I'm not sure what purpose he served unless you saw her making progress, and yeah, I don't know. I didn't really enjoy reading them. I thought they were quite lit, and you were just like, come on, when's this twist? When are we going to find out what's going on and what the real story is? My next question is a sort of philosophical question, and that is, how important do you think memory is when we're talking about our identity? Because Christine obviously doesn't have any memory, but she does have an identity, and I think that she sort of, even though and I think there were some things that she couldn't remember being, like a mother and a wife, but it sort of shaped her in her feelings. She did know she was a mum even though she didn't know she was a mum, if that makes sense. So I think it's an interesting thing to talk about, the role of memory in identity. I would say that memory plays a huge part in defining who you are, and because it's your experience, is what you've done, how you thought about these experiences, and how you're going to move on in the future. So the next question is a little bit of a silly one. Did you think it was a thriller? Was it scary for you? For me personally, I was scared. I was freaked out. I couldn't put it down at the end. It was the middle of the night and I had to keep on reading because I was scared. So from that point of view, I think the author was really good. He did keep me on the edge of my seat, and I did want to know what happened, even though I kind of knew what was going to happen. So for me, I think his storytelling was that it was a thriller, and he told the story very well in that respect, which was good. I think it's actually, I've said he, I think it's a guy, I think his name's Steve, but I may have just made that up. S.J. Watson. If it's a woman, switch out he and she. So my next question, or it's not really a question, it's like a thought and discussion point, would be Christine's sexual identity, because I just didn't find it that believable. Like, I obviously know that women are sexual people, and you know, it's normal that she'd be a sexual person, but I thought how she was portrayed as almost hypersexual, and a lot of the way that she was identifying with herself was in relation to the men or her like sexual counterparts in the book, whether it was her husband and his sort of rape of her almost, and how this started off as an affair, which we found out, her sort of her kind of unengagement or disengagement with sex with her real husband, and also the sort of sexual potential that she had with the doctor, Dr. Nash. And for me, I just didn't find it that believable that this one woman, she's very damaged, or was just attracting men like honey. Like, honestly, it's like flies to honey. There was always men buzzing around, and I don't know if this is almost the author saying more about men, and that men are wanting to look after a damaged woman or whatever, but I don't know, I just thought it was almost hypersexual, you know, too sexual. You know, that's just something I'd like to hear other people's opinion on, about whether they think that the sexual identity is read well or relatable, and I don't know, I don't think it did. Like Christine's sexual identity, I don't know if this was perhaps done because this is a part of your identity which maybe isn't related to memory, but then it almost should be, because she was having flashbacks to her attack when she was having sex, and also when she was getting raped, which is clearly a memory or a suppressed, or saying something about other relationships that she has. So that's my point. Okay, that is all the questions I've got about the book before I go to sleep. I would love to hear what you think about this, what you thought about the book overall, or what you thought about the questions or thinking points that I've raised today. I'll put all the questions down in the bar below, and I'm also going to write a little book review on my blog, I think. I've not done it yet, but I will. My blog is www.liquidgrain.co.uk, which if you want to go check out, I would much appreciate it. And all we've got to do now is pick our next book. So let me get my Kindle out. I've not had to think about this yet, and I will see. I've bought a few books, but I've not got one in mind yet. Okay, I've got one. This might be controversial because I want to read it, so I'm doing it, but it's a classic, and it is a discussion about colonialism and all this, or post-colonial and all that. So I can understand if maybe a lot of people haven't read this or don't want to. Okay, so the next book that we are going to read is Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, which is a really short book. This is the cover on the Kindle that I have, which I think means it's free. This was a free download on the Kindle. It's a very old book, like I said, it's a classic, so it's free. I've been meaning to read it for a while because we were actually supposed to read it for class last year? No, the year before, in second year, and I never did. So I really do want to read this, and I think it's quite a well-studied book, so there should be some good questions that are going to come out of it, and if we're stuck we can always look up some other questions online. Okay, that's all for my book club now. Okay, see you soon.